right after my dad passed away. Out of the blue, my estranged in-laws showed up. "Your dad's gone, right? So now it's your turn to take care of us." I was stunned by these utterly rude people, and before I knew it, they had decided we were going to live together. They even had the movers called up without getting the homeowner's permission to bring in their stuff. Talk about being prepared. My husband, standing next to me in disbelief, finally spoke up. "No, Mom. You can't possibly be unaware." "What? What do you mean?" My in-laws were panicking as they let the movers in. It seemed they came to this house without knowing anything, but unfortunately, living together here was absolutely, definitely not happening. My husband, who was neglected as a child by these very parents, told them about the future that awaited them. "My name is Iris. I'm a 34-year-old who works from home while taking care of household chores. In my 20s, I met a wonderful man named Sean through a friend, and we got married. Sean is a cheerful and fun person, always making me laugh with his warm personality. Early in our relationship, Sean seemed eager to marry me. I want to marry Iris. So, I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone before. Please listen." And with that, his usual cheerful demeanor shifted to serious. What he shared was about his upbringing. It was far heavier than I expected. Sean has a mother named Anna and a father named Ken. To me, they are my mother-in-law and father-in-law. Being an only child with no relatives, Sean's only blood relatives are his parents. However, neither of them had any interest in parenting. Ken ran his own business and used his busy work schedule as an excuse to neglect his family. But being busy was just an excuse. He hardly worked and often ended up in debt, chased by creditors. Despite being married, he spent his youth hardly ever coming home, living as he pleased. Anna had been a stay-at-home mom since marriage, with virtually no work experience outside the home. Yet, that didn't mean she devoted herself to household chores or parenting. Sean's gambling-loving mother, without a second thought for the child she didn't bear, would often leave early in the morning and not return until after the young Sean had gone to sleep. Put plainly, Sean grew up neglected from a young age. He couldn't afford to wait leisurely for his unpredictable parents to return. Before he knew it, Sean had become capable of handling all the household chores by himself. To ensure Sean wouldn't go hungry, his parents would at least leave a small amount of money on the table. To them, that was probably their idea of parenting, a notion Sean recounted with a pained expression. Not once did his parents attend school events or meetings. Naturally, the school was concerned, and it seems that welfare officers and child services visited Sean's home. However, there wasn't enough evidence to take protective action. Sean himself didn't want to be taken into care, and his strong-willed parents managed to turn away those adults. Sean recalled how troublesome it was to be blamed by his parents for inviting these concerned adults over or complaining about his situation. From an early age, Sean struggled with his parents' overly self-indulgent lifestyle and left home immediately after graduating high school. He silently left, secured a job without telling them where he was going, and that's how things stand today. That said, he hasn't completely cut ties with his parents. No matter how neglected, parents are parents. Unable to sever ties with his only family in the world, Sean has kept them informed of his contact information. Considering the severe hardships of his childhood, Sean's upright, bright, yet resilient growth is nothing short of miraculous. Despite sharing his dark past, Sean expressed his desire to build a family with me, and I happily accepted his hand. Unlike Sean's parents, mine are doting. However, my family situation is a bit unique as I come from a single-father household. My father, Tom, lost my mother to illness when I was very young. I have no memory of her, but I always remember my father's serious profile as he saw my mother's photo. Raising a daughter alone must have been hard, but my father always smiled and never let me feel any hardship. My father, who had been a dedicated employee for many years, met with an unexpected accident in his mid-50s. It was a tragic accident, and he suffered severe injuries that once put his life in danger. When I received the call about that accident, I was as pale as a ghost. Barely able to stand. Being already married, if it weren't for Sean by my side supporting me, I doubt I could have managed to handle the aftermath of the accident properly. My dad somehow pulled through, clinging to life. However, it wasn't a full recovery, given the severity of the accident. Just being alive was a blessing in itself. The accident left my dad paraplegic, making it impossible for him to return to his job. The cruel twist of fate for my dad, who had dedicated his life to his work, was heartbreaking. Sean, ever so kind, suggested, "If your dad's having a tough time, why don't we live together? You work from home, Iris, so you could take care of him while working. I'll help with the caregiving and the household chores too. And if balancing work and caregiving becomes too tough, you can quit your job. Just make sure you won't regret your choice." I, along with my father, deeply appreciated Sean's offer. So, we began our life together with my dad in a wheelchair, joining our household. The initial struggles of adapting to caregiving were mitigated by my dad's gentle nature. Despite his frustration at not being able to move as before, he never once lashed out or got angry at Sean and me. We took him out in his wheelchair to various places. Sean and I made it a point to show him beautiful sights and let him enjoy delicious meals, something my work-focused dad never had the time for before. My dad was always cheerful on these outings, expressing heartfelt gratitude for marrying me to Sean, to the point of making us blush. My dad passed away this winter, at the age of 59. Our few years of caregiving life ended. The cause was pneumonia. A complication of a cold. While I continued my work from home, I was by my dad's side more than anyone else. I did take him to the hospital as soon as he caught a cold and did everything I thought possible, yet losing my only parent, I couldn't help but blame myself. I wondered if there was anything more I could have done. Was my dad truly happy? Sean always tried to uplift me, but sorrow isn't so easily dispelled. Maybe time is the only cure for this grief. On one of those downcast days, uninvited guests showed up, and I was utterly shocked. "You must be Sean's wife, Iris, right? What an unadorned person you are. You seem bored. You don't know anything about having fun, do you? And not even coming to say hi when you got married, what a rude daughter-in-law. It's shocking you don't know basic manners. Can't help it, can we?" Iris was raised in a single-father household, wasn't she? It's somewhat understandable if she's not well-versed in manners. But, we're going to live together from now on. If you do anything silly, we'll be sure to teach you properly. Don't embarrass us. I had no idea who the elderly couple that suddenly visited were. As I stood dumbfounded after being scolded right upon opening the door, Sean came out from the back of the house, his face turned pale the moment he saw them. "Huh? Dad, Mom? Why are you here?" Sean said bitterly, and only then did I realize the elderly couple were my in-laws. As I hurried to greet them, my in-laws continued to nag. Sean said, "Just go back home," with growing irritation, but his parents paid him no mind. They barged in without our permission, ignoring our protests, leaving us in shock with their next words. "We heard you've been taking care of your dying father up until now. You must have some free time on your hands since you don't have anyone to take care of now, right? From today onwards, you'll be looking after us." I was speechless at their rude and presumptuous demand. Leaving Sean and me bewildered, my in-laws started snooping around our house. My father-in-law opened every door, remarking, "You live in a nice place, bigger than I thought." And my mother-in-law, noticing our almost empty house, tilted her head in confusion. "You hardly have any belongings, do you?" I was about to explain when the doorbell rang. Acting as if it was already their house, my mother-in-law cheerfully answered the intercom. "Come on in, please." The people my mother-in-law let in were, astonishingly, movers. "Put that stuff in that room. Keep bringing it in, please." She instructed the movers, while Sean, confused yet trying to intervene, said, "Mom, what are you doing? This is gonna cause us trouble. It should be nice to spend time with your parents after so long, right?" Besides, you've never done anything like honoring your parents before, so it's not too late to start now. You'll take good care of us and show us how much you honor us. No, Anna, it's not about that, it's just that we just make some coffee or something, will you? As I tried to explain the situation facing us as a couple, the conversation kept getting cut off, making no progress. Hey, Sean, your parents just showed up unannounced, but we have to tell them about that thing, don't we? I know, but with their attitude, they're not gonna listen, so let's keep it under wraps as long as we can. They barged in on their own, let's just ignore them. Sean sighed heavily, looking defeated in front of his clueless mother and bored-looking father, promising to explain later. The thing we hadn't told them was that this house, along with the land, had already been sold to the government and we had to move out soon. Our neighborhood had been buzzing with talks of a major redevelopment project for some time. The news covered the extensive construction daily, and with the expected economic boom from the development, everyone was excited about the area's future prosperity. A new train station and a large shopping complex were part of the plan, requiring nearby residents to relocate as the government bought up land. We had refused to move out immediately due to my father's caregiving needs. However, after my father passed away and living in this house filled with memories became painful, Sean and I decided to let it go. Therefore, the house would soon no longer be ours, and any effort by my in-laws to move in was futile since it would soon be in the government's hands. Oblivious to this, my in-laws had forced their way in. Leaving the moving to the professionals, we sat in the living room, watching TV. And a news segment on the development project began to play. The mover remarked, "This area's gonna be part of the redevelopment soon, huh? Why move here now? Well, when you move again, be sure to call us." Confused by his words, my in-laws asked, "What? What did he say? What does that mean? Redevelopment? Another move? Sean, what's going on?" Finally, Sean began to explain. "You didn't know about this? This place is part of a massive urban development zone, and we have to vacate by next week. So, even though you just moved in, you'll have to leave soon." Shocked, my in-laws turned frantically to the mover. "Wait, hold on. It's pointless to bring our stuff in if we have to move again. Take it back to our old house. Stop. Cancel the move. We're not paying for this. Put everything back in the truck." The mover, naturally, didn't just stand by quietly as my in-laws, who had invited him, were now frantically trying to undo their actions. Even as Sean explained, the diligent mover they'd called kept bringing in boxes. The mover insisted on getting paid for the work done, leading to a heated argument at the front door about payment and cancellation. It was all a mess that didn't involve Sean and me. My father-in-law then turned to me, raising his voice, "This is all because your dad died, Iris. Can't you do something about it?" But there was nothing to be done. We had already moved most of our stuff to the new place, not expecting my in-laws to suddenly show up with such brazen demands. The reason our house was almost empty was that we were in the middle of preparing to move. When we told my in-laws we'd be leaving this house in less than a week, they turned pale. Sean had told his parents that they didn't need to meet or greet me when we got married, but he did mention what I do in my background along with our marriage announcement. That must be how they knew I worked from home. My in-laws then attacked me further. "Iris, you're just lounging around at home under the guise of working from home, aren't you? A full-time housewife doing whatever she wants. Now that your dad has passed and you're free, it's only natural for you to take care of us. Take us to the new house. Look after us there." "Right. We'll also need you to cover the moving costs to the new place. And, while you're at it, pay for this move too." "Yeah, let's do that. Even if Iris isn't earning, you lived in such a big house. Sean must be making a good amount, right?" Before I could retort, Sean stepped in. "I've told you, Iris isn't just a housewife. She works from home and earns nearly as much as I do. She took care of her dad while juggling her job and the household. What nonsense are you spouting at her?" Despite Sean's rising anger, my in-laws wouldn't stop. They relentlessly demanded the new house's location, insisted on moving in to be cared for, claimed housework was a woman's job, and dismissed working from home as merely a convenient excuse to slack off. It was inevitable for Sean's anger to reach its boiling point. "Do whatever you want. Just get out for now." Sean's shout drove them away, leaving me astonished at the stormy presence some people can have. My in-laws had unilaterally decided to move in with us, a plan thwarted by the house sale, and without their original home to return to, they were left homeless. It's a sad state for the elderly, but it was their own making. What became of my in-laws afterward remains unknown, but without any interference from them, we were able to move into our new home peacefully. No one could have imagined such a situation just before moving, but at least we were able to start a calm life. Our new home is in a quiet location on the outskirts, an area in the countryside where people live. In this area, multiple families support each other in communal living. Casual conversations brighten the day, shared treats and extra cooked meals. It fosters a warm community spirit. Though lacking stores nearby, we adapted without issue. Our neighbors welcomed us warmly, even organizing a welcome party, marking a heartwarming start to our life there. However, what disrupted our peaceful life was, as expected, my in-laws. Somehow figuring out where our new home was, they showed up at the co-living space as if they owned the place. "Finally found you. Thinking you could just kick us out and live comfortably by yourselves, that's naive. Here, carry these bags." What a useless daughter-in-law. Sean clearly didn't want them there, but with neighbors watching, we couldn't just turn them away forcefully. When the in-laws visited, our kind neighbors suggested, "Since they're here, let's all have a meal together," and threw a simple party. But it turned into a disaster with my in-laws criticizing the food, getting drunk and rowdy, and hurling insults not fit for a first meeting. A drunk father-in-law ranted, "This awful couple kicked us out, not caring for us elderly at all. They're terrible. I'm telling you, it's better for your own good not to be nice to them." My husband had to profusely apologize for his father's behavior. We were hoping they would leave soon, but my in-laws had the audacity to say they would stay here. "Give me a break. You've never looked after me as parents, and now you expect us to take care of you? That's just too convenient. Leave, now. Too drunk to move today. If you kick us out, I'll report you for abandoning the elderly. I'll be taking your bed tonight. You sleep on the floor." And with that, my father-in-law fell asleep snoring loudly. We waited impatiently for that day to come. Since then, my in-laws have been living here. It caused Sean to quietly accumulate stress. When that day finally arrived, Sean made a firm declaration to his parents. "I'm cutting ties with you. You're nothing but a disgrace. I'm embarrassed just to be related by blood to parents like you. Don't ever show your faces to us again. We're leaving this place." "What? Leaving? Are you planning to move again?" "Yes, that's right. Please feel free to stay here as long as you like. We need to go now." "Let's go, Sean." "Wait a minute. What do you mean?" After a lot of fuss from my in-laws, the truth was Sean and I had already planned to move from here. The government had bought our previous home and land due to a development project, and we were compensated for it. We had already bought land elsewhere and were in the midst of building a new house, staying in this co-living space temporarily. Naturally, we hadn't told my in-laws. We only brought the essentials, so we could move out quickly without needing movers. Carrying just a duffel bag, we thanked neighbors for their kindness and left. "Let's have my parents pay the rent here and we'll live in our new home." "Yeah, I feel bad for them, but that's what we'll do." We finally managed to cut ties with our clingy in-laws. We had made arrangements to ensure my in-laws wouldn't bother the neighbors by lobbying with the homeowners association. It was clear they would default on the rent. They had repeatedly asked us for money, and we had been covering all their living expenses. Because of their rent arrears, they soon had to evict. They had gone around asking others for money, but no one wanted to lend to such disliked individuals. In the end, my in-laws left the place quietly, without anyone seeing them off. That night, Sean and I enjoyed some really delicious drinks. The toast tasted refreshingly good, truly delightful. Sean had disowned them and they managed to roll into public housing. Thinking they would end up homeless, getting into public housing was, in a way, fortunate for them. However, they didn't appreciate their luck, complaining daily about the small, thin-walled apartment. With their awful personalities, it's no surprise they have no friends. Left without anyone to rely on or complain to, my in-laws found themselves utterly alone. Being such unpleasant people meant they only had each other to argue with. Unable to maintain personal space in the cramped room, they fought over trivial matters. They quarreled with neighbors over noise complaints and occasionally had the police called on them, leading to a boring and lonely life. Unable to endure this life, they called Sean from a payphone, asking for help, but Sean had no intention of responding. They had never taken care of Sean during his childhood. So why would they think he would take care of them now? Sean had no obligation or responsibility to them. Cutting ties was a rightful choice given to Sean. Don't contact us again. We've cut ties as parent and child. We're not family, we're strangers now. Don't just call strangers out of the blue. Sean said coldly before heading to a mobile phone shop to change his number. With a refreshed smile, Sean said, "Finally, we're free. Sorry for the trouble." Cutting ties with the in-laws was a relief, but what made me happiest was seeing Sean finally able to break away from his parents and looking so relieved. Unlike my in-laws, who spent their days hurling hatred and quarreling, Sean and I are able to enjoy peaceful and warm days together. The neighbors were uniformly happy to see them go. After they left, we regained our calm, and the neighbors invited us to a celebration party, marking our liberation from the in-laws with a barbecue feast. The people living in the area are all wonderful. Though we've moved a bit away, we've made caring and understanding friends who always look out for us, making every day bright and fun. Even more joyously, I found out I was pregnant. Everyone showered us with blessings. Telling Sean, who was raised with parental neglect, about the pregnancy, he cried with joy, although he also expressed concerns about whether he could be a good parent himself. But such worries are unnecessary. Someone who cries with happiness at the news of a child would never neglect their own. The neighbors, and of course, we both, are eagerly awaiting the day we meet our baby. Watching everyone speak to my growing belly in turn, I couldn't help but smile and feel blessed.